The HOA president screamed, "Arrest him!" right as I was launching my boat on my own damn lake. There I was waist-deep in icy water at 6 a.m., coffee barely touching my lips, when Margaret Thornfield stormed down my dock like she owned the place. Her perfectly manicured finger jabbed inches from my face, shrieking, "Trespasser," while some deputy fumbled with handcuffs like he'd never seen water before. "Ma'am, this is my property," I said, water dripping from my sweatshirt. "Not anymore," she spat, her words flying like daggers. "I'm having you arrested for illegal boat launching." Click the cuffs went on, my 12-foot aluminum boat bobbing innocently beside us, 15 neighbors filming from their decks, coffee smells mixing with lake mist and her overpowering perfume. And then, 10 minutes later, I owned her precious Marina. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up. My name's Jake Morrison. 3 years ago, I lost my wife Sarah to cancer. 15 years before that, we'd bought this lakefront slice of heaven, 12 pristine acres with a private lake. Full water, right's the kind of place you can't put a price on. Every morning, we sat on that dock with coffee, watching mist rise off the water, loons calling, waves lapping, her lavender shampoo blending with pine needles in the dawn air. That dock became my sanctuary through her final months. After she passed, it became my lifeline. Me and my German Shepherd Rex, out by 5 a.m., just us and the quiet. My little aluminum boat, more than a boat, it was survival. Enter Margaret Maggie Thornfield. 6 months ago, she seized the HOA presidency like Napoleon. Picture a razor-sharp 55-year-old in a pristine white BMW, suited for corporate domination even at BBQs, policing dog barks, garden gnome orientation, Christmas lights still up past New Year's. Naturally, I kept my property spotless and paid dues early. Big mistake. The war started via certified mail, $500 fine for unauthorized watercraft storage, creating visual pollution inconsistent with community aesthetic standards. According to Maggie, my dock existing for 15 years was suddenly public HOA property. A justification? Pink stationery, the cheap department store perfume smell almost made me choke. Individual boat launches create unsightly infrastructure impacting premium market positioning. My modest aluminum fishing bought a 30-foot dock, and a lifetime of memories was apparently a threat to real estate values. I tried reason. Called her. Mrs. Thornfield, Jake Morrison, Lakeshore Drive. Mistake about my dock. Freeze. No mistake. You own water rights. Yes, but the HOA supersedes when community welfare is threatened. Don't contact me again. Click. Rex looked at me like, "Really, buddy?" And just like that, Margaret Thornfield had declared war on a widower's only peace. 3 days later, a hand-delivered notice. Emergency HOA board meeting, mandatory for all waterfront owners. Thursday night, I walked into the community center expecting a dozen people. 40-plus neighbors, fluorescent lights buzzing, the scent of burnt coffee and floor cleaner thick in the air. Maggie, behind a folding table like a Supreme Court judge, flanked by Curtis Thornfield, her lawyer nephew. "We're here to address a serious threat to property values," she began, gesturing at me like I was a criminal. They had a survey showing my dock supposedly extending 15 feet into HOA water. Murmurs. 40 pairs of eyes, half sympathetic, half confused. My counter? I pulled out my original deed and 2009 survey, Sarah's wisdom keeping documents organized even posthumously. "Ma'am, my survey clearly shows water rights extending 200 feet from my shoreline. Dock's reach? 30 feet. Deed includes water rights in perpetuity." Curtis paled. Maggie's courtroom confidence wavered. Old neighbor spoke up. "Jake's been using that dock since before the HOA existed. We borrowed his ramp." Red blotches appeared on Maggie's neck. But she escalated fast. Next Monday, uniformed security guard at my property line. Derek Kowalski, her unemployed son-in-law, clipboard in hand, conducting lakefront patrol for HOA. Bright yellow, no trespassing signs went up overnight. Daily harassment, mornings at 6, blocking my path. But while Derek played security theater, I hit the county recorder's office, sniffing out every HOA document I could find. Dolores Martinez, the county clerk of 30 years, handed me election paperwork. Maggie's HOA election legally invalid. Certified mail? Nope. Proper notice? Half-hearted. Half the documents weren't even notarized. Jackpot. Then came the kicker. Maggie tried to buy out Hendricks Marina, offering $50,000 from HOA emergency funds meant for actual emergency esto, create an exclusive HOA club, locking me out. But she didn't realize emergency funds can't be misused. That was her undoing. Researching old covenants, Mrs. Victoria, a lifelong neighbor, handed me photos, newspaper clippings, proof that lake access was guaranteed for all original property owners. The marina lease? Expired 2 years ago, technically squatting. Back taxes, $12,000. I had that in retirement savings. Buy it, on the only commercial boat access, and flip the board's power game. Helen Vasquez, a sharp retirement lawyer, strategized. We'd leverage the invalid election, emergency fund misuse, and historical covenants. My neighbors, 8 strong, gathered deeds, photos, testimonies. Friday morning, courthouse. Certified check, $12,347. Other bidders? None. Sold. Just like that, I own the marina. Maggie's exclusive HOA marina scheme? Crushed. Her panic was instantaneous. Calls, scrambling, Curtis trailing like a sad puppy. She tried confronting me at the marina, claiming the sale illegal. I smiled. County approved. Derek showed up, clipboard waving, trying to enforce HOA standards on county property. I calmly reminded him, private property, no authority. Retreat. The HOA's reach? Dead. Maggie herself arrived in a fury, red blazer, high heels clicking like a warning bell. I calmly laid down original 1994 lake covenant, invalid election docs, and emergency fund evidence. Room went silent. Her meltdown complete. Commissioner Patricia Wells and a deputy served cease and desist papers in real time. Authority evaporated. By Monday, Maggie resigned in bitter defeat. Derek found a job elsewhere. Curtis returned to contract law. Marina? Transformed. Bill Hendricks thrilled with a profit-sharing model. Tommy promoted. Free marina access restored to all original homeowners. Property values jumped 15%. But the best part? Honoring Sarah's memory. Every Saturday, the Sarah Morrison Memorial Fishing Program brings 25 kids to the dock, learning fishing, ecology, boat safety. Rex, ever patient, supervises tiny hands learning responsibility, joy exploding on young faces pure magic. Our new HOA board, transparent, fair, and cooperative. Neighbors talk again. Laughter replaces tension. The lake reflects more than water. No, it reflects community, justice, and resilience. Sometimes I cast a line and tell Sarah about the kids, the neighbors, the lake breathing again. I know she's proud. This story proves that preparation, documentation, and community can topple tyranny. One person's persistence sparked collective victory. Your turn. Drop your worst HOA nightmare in the comments. Share your story. Debate fairness, justice, and community rights. Justice tastes sweeter when it's shared. But let me tell you, even after Maggie was out, the story wasn't over. Owning the marina gave me leverage. Sure, but it also made me a target less of a villain than before. Maybe, but definitely a high-profile one. That Friday, the morning after the auction, I rolled up to the marina, coffee in hand, and Rex bouncing at my side, and I saw it. Every single dock line with brand new no trespassing HOA members only signs all locked but useless now. I own the land, the water rights, and thanks to those historic covenants, full authority to manage public access. Maggie's plan had blown up in her own face, but her loyalists were still lurking, curious neighbors, new HOA supporters, even a couple of nosy journalists sniffing for scandal. I called Bill Hendricks first, the Marina owner. The guy practically glowed when I explained the plan. "Jake, 30 years in this business, and I've never had an owner care about the people working here," he said, showing me docks that were decades old, rusted winches, peeling wood. We walked every inch together, making a plan to improve facilities, create a fair profit-sharing system for employees, and ensure public access remained intact. Tommy Kowalski, Derek's cousin, got promoted to assistant manager, and his grin? Worth the price of every headache Maggie had given me. Meanwhile, Maggie didn't sit quietly. She tried the digital route fake Facebook groups, suspicious posts about my aggressive behavior, even planting seeds of doubt about my mental state. Has anyone else noticed Jake Morrison acting strangely? I'm worried about safety around the lake. Given his grief, should he be concerned? It was insidious, subtle, meant to turn neighbors against me. But she underestimated history. Longtime residents knew me, knew Sarah, knew the way I treated this lake and everyone on it. Tom Hendricks traced the fake accounts to her IP, and the online smear campaign fell apart before it really began. Then came the classic overreach. Derek showing up at the marina with what looked like official county forms, clipboard in hand, announcing a safety compliance review of MY property. I calmly walked up. "Derek, you're not a county inspector. You're a private security guard hired by your mother-in-law. You're trespassing." Face went white, clipboard trembling. He retreated, probably muttering about conflict of interest, family duty, and realizing common sense was more powerful than fear. The crescendo came Thursday evening at the emergency HOA meeting Maggie called. She hand-delivered notices with dramatic red borders, summoned 60 people into folding chairs meant for 40, and set up a stage like a courtroom. Curtis flanking her, 2 board members flanking her sides, the smell of industrial coffee and cleaning solution thick in the air. She accused me of systematic intimidation, property manipulation, and extortion. You could cut the tension with a boat propeller. Neighbors exchanged glances. Old allies nodded. New faces squirmed. And that's when I made my move. Slowly, deliberately, I walked to the front, manila folder in hand. "Maggie, interesting story," I said. "But here's the real version." I slapped down the 1994 lay covenant, original election paperwork proving her presidency invalid, and documentation of the emergency fund misuse. The room went silent. Curtis paled. Maggie's face contorted from red to purple. Then, the recording. Full, unedited audio of our Marina negotiations. The edited, manipulated version she'd prepared. Amateur hour. Even Sarah Martinez from the local paper clicked furiously, documenting every second. Then, the coup de grace. Commissioner Patricia Wells entered with a county sheriff's deputy. Papers served, cease and desist, orders delivered. Maggie's authority evaporated in real time. Board members whispered, Curtis shuffled out, Derek scuttled off, and the queen of the HOA, dethroned by her own hubris. By Monday, she'd resigned, blaming community conspiracies. The marina, however, thrived. Public access restored. Employee morale skyrocketed. Dock repairs underway. Families, kids, laughter life returned to the lake like someone had turned the music back on after a long, oppressive silence. But here's the beautiful part. This wasn't just victory for me. It became a lesson in community resilience. Every Saturday, the Sarah Morrison Memorial Fishing Program brings 25 kids to the marina. From shy 6-year-olds learning to thread worms to confident teens mastering boat safety, the dock becomes a living classroom. Rex, our ever-patient German shepherd, supervises the chaos, tail wagging as tiny hands pet him between casts. Mrs. Victoria volunteers as lake historian. sharing stories of the early development, weaving respect for the lake into childhood memories. Parents take pictures, kids laugh, and the lake our shared sanctuary breathes again. The HOA? Completely overhauled. Transparent elections, reduced violation notices by 70%, proper budget oversight. Neighbors talk to each other instead of peering through curtains. The lake community healed, and my heart finally settled after years of stress, grief, and fighting a small-town tyrant. And yet there's always the next challenge. New residents, new boards, new rules. Someone else could always try to hijack authority, manipulate funds, or weaponize fear. But now, with documentation, community support, and a little strategic creativity, the lake and the marina are ours, protected by law, history, and a community that remembers. So here's the question for you. What would you do if your sanctuary was threatened by a petty dictator in power? Have you fought back, or are you still waiting for a loophole to appear? Drop your worst HOA horror story in the comments. Share your experiences, and let's celebrate the victories, big and small win preparation, persistence, and a little cunning topple tyranny. Justice tastes sweeter when it's shared, and sometimes the best revenge is turning oppression into opportunity.